Welcome or welcome back to WatchAdvisor on YouTube, where the watches are the stars. On your screen you do see the stars of this video, and they're all coming from Breitling, from the Top Time collection, and I've been putting together for you a little choice of freehand automatic watches and one chronograph to show you a little bit what this collection stands for. On your right side you see a white and light blue dial, a deep blue dial. Here's the chronograph, beautifully looking in that cushion shaped case. A deep green dial, and yes, that's the same watch you're seeing twice here on your screen, not with a strap but with a bracelet. So all these watches are the stars of this video. The presenter you're hearing is Alexander, as always, and now enjoy the video, have fun, let us together discover Top Time from Breitling.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
It was in 1964, by the way, the same year when I was born, when Breitling introduced the Top Time as a more sportier, more youthful alternative to the Navi timer and the chronomat watches you, of course, all know very well. The Top Time targeted a new generation, stylish professionals and motorsports enthusiasts rather than pilots. Its distinctive features included smaller round cases, approximately 36 to 38 millimeters, high contrast dials, and minimalist functionality. The early references, like the reference 2002, 810, 2211, often use Venus 178 calibers or the early Valjoux 7730. In the late 1960s, design icons emerge like the Zorro dial, the famous Zorro dial, reference 2003 with its bow tie motif, and the reference 810 long hands became really cult watches. The Top Time also gained fame with Sean Connery wearing it in a James Bond movie. It was a modified Top Time, the reference 2002, with a Geiger counter, and it was, of course, fundable in 1965. And this, by the way, was the only Breitling ever worn by Bond on a movie screen. In the 1970s, with the upcoming quartz crisis and changing tastes, production of mechanical Top Time models faded, as you can imagine, and yeah, the line quietly disappeared by the late 1970s. And it was replaced by various quartz chronographs under other names. And it was George Kern then who really brought back the Top Time, and he remembered this beautiful collection, and it was him. And we have to really say thank you, George, for doing all that to bring away Breitling from all these bold style watches, black, bold, big, special, quartz, special, I don't know, watches. They were all looking the same, more or less, and it was really him and his team who brought back more fancy, more cool, and of course more watches we all want to wear back to the collections of Breitling. On your screen, the B01 Top Time, or Top Time B01 Racing, yeah, with a particular dial design that remembers us. Of course, if you look here where I'm pointing at with my pointer, it's a little bit of the cockpits of the cars in the 1960s, the design. The chronograph has, or the case, the stainless steel case of this chronograph has a diameter of 38 millimeter. It's a cushion-shaped design, as you clearly see. The thickness of the chronograph is quite okay, I would say, for such a watch. It's 13.07 millimeters. How can I know 07 millimeters exactly? I can tell you this is because Breitling really provides all this information on its website. Well done, well done. This is pretty cool because most of the time we have to do all the measurements by ourselves, and then yeah, we are mostly or very often the only ones who provide all the detailed information. But Breitling has it on a website. So holding it in this way, the lug-to-lug distance is, now hold yourself, it's 44.4 millimeters. I've been measuring 45 millimeters. So lug-to-lug is 45 millimeters. The so-called dial aperture, and this is an information Breitling does not give you. The dial aperture is exactly what you see here, the distance from 6 to 12 or from 3 to 9. So what you really can see, or where you can read the time and the dial aperture, is 34 millimeter. The case is waterproof up to 100 meters. How is this possible without having a screw down crown? Very easy. It's a non-screw locked crown you have, but it features 2 gaskets. And this is also the reason that manipulating this crown is quite stiff. So when you're winding the watch, it is really causing you to operate it quite strongly. And it's something in the first moment you might think, oops, is there something wrong? No, it's not. This is absolutely meant to be so. But it is unusually stiff, or you have to really apply some force to do that. But the case is waterproof up to 100 meters, and they are not just announcing 50 or 30 meters for such a sports watch. This is very, very cool. It is featuring a beautiful leather strap that, by the way, tapers from 18 millimeters down to 16 millimeters. Pin buckle, no folding clasp. I very much like that. Simple, keep it simple and stupid. No folding clasps, no messing around with those things when opening them, closing them. I like this simplicity as it is well executed here from Breitling. But still, you could wear the watch with a bracelet, that's possible, or with a rubber strap, or with a canvas strap whatsoever, and then you, in theory, can use the watch for swimming. Why not? It's not a diver, yep, but you could use the watch for swimming. Turning the watch around might now be a little bit disappointing for some of you, because you would have expected to see the Breitling B01 caliber. Not possible this time. It's the in-house conceived and completely manufactured chronograph movement Breitling has in its collection. Features 70 hours of power reserve. It's a 4 Hertz movement, 28,800 semi-oscillations. And there is a little thing I want to show you. 1 of 750 pieces. So it's a limited edition. It is not numbered 1 out. It just says 1 off. So it's not completely numbered. 1/750, 2/750, etc., etc. It says 1. But it is a limited edition, so if you buy the watch and if you're interested, it is going to be at least not a mass production, 750 pieces only. And also good to know, and nicely readable here, it says certifié chronomètre. Of course, you know that all Breitling watches are officially certified by COSC as a chronometer, meaning accuracy -4 +6 seconds under all conditions, and this is not bad at all. Pretty nicely done case, as you can see, with interesting details. Like here, you have some fluting parts. You see here, there is a corner here of that cushion-shaped case. You have a fluting effect, the same here. It's a fluting effect, and also here you see it nicely here, those flutes. There is only polished surface. There is no matte parts except of the interior side of the case back, but it is completely polished except of these parts where you have this fluting effect. Different type of surface, giving that case a nice look. So what you see here, this blue effect on the sapphire crystal, is due to the fact that it has an anti-reflective treatment on both sides. So it is glare proof, and it's a cambered sapphire crystal that protects the dial. Protects. This is a bit funny. That is part of the case construction here. You see here. Yeah, there are some distortions. If you go in a certain angle, of course, there are some distortions. But I like these kind of sapphire crystals because they add a little bit of a vintage look to the case. There is a 30-minute counter belonging to the chronograph, and nicely done. You see that the sub-counter has a red hand as well as the chronograph itself. The central hand is also red, so you can, with one glance, you just have to look at the dial. Okay, these are the two indications that belong together. What's here displayed, this is the running seconds, 60 seconds, and you're gonna see now instantaneous jump when the, you just saw it, when the central second reaches 0 or 60, then here the minute counter moves on in one step. There is a units per hour or tachymeter scale on the outside of the dial, and also well done and correctly done is the subdivision. In between the seconds you see 3 little dots, so you could in theory really read the 1/8 of a second that is displayed by the central second hand swiping over the dial. It's, as I said to you, 28800 caliber 4 Hertz. And this leads to the fact that the central second hand displays 1/8 of a second. And if you, in theory, wanted to read exactly the time, you could, because you have a correct subdivision under that. Nicely done, I have to say. The weight of the entire watch is 89 grams, so it's pretty light. If you are interested to know the weight of the watch head alone, so without the strap, it is 77.5 grams. To start the presentation of the B31 Top Time watch, the freehand watch with a date indication of the dial, I've been choosing the one with the blue dial. I will continue with other colors later, but blue is blue, and blue is one of my favorite colors. You all know that, who are following what we are doing for years now. So the automatic watch, 38 millimeters is the diameter of the case. The thickness of the case is 11 millimeters. The so-called lug-to-lug distance, one end to the other end, is 45 millimeters. And the dial aperture, so what you in the end see, or what is displayed, is 34 millimeter. This case is also waterproof up to 100 meters. How do they do this? It's not a screw down crown, same as I said before with the chronograph, 2 gaskets, and also here same thing applies. It is a little bit you have to use definitively some force to turn the crown to wind the watch. It's a little bit easier when you pull out the crown and you start setting the watch, then it's much smoother. But once the crown is closed, fully closed, you have to use some force, but it's a double gasket, and this is also by the case without having a screw down crown is waterproof up to 100 meters, and this is very cool in my personal opinion. What I also like very much is the fact some will say, yeah, he's copying Rolex, they do. Maybe, but the fact that you add a little magnifying glass on a date really makes the date appear quite readable. End of the day, it is all about readability. If you have that tiny little date window, it would be much more difficult to read the date without having this little magnifying glass perfectly positioned on it, and it really helps to quickly read the date. Talking about the date, I will now quickly run you through the numbers so you can see how all the other figures look like. Double digit now. I come a little bit closer, 12 and so on. I will just quickly run you through so you can see everything, how the other numbers look like. I would say nicely matching also the design. And readability is really gorgeous. It's good. Let's go back to the 8 lucky numbers. There we are, the 8. Let me turn the watch around. What do we see? We see a partnership between Breitling and Sellita's high-end division AMT Alpha Mike Tango. This represents a modern, hybrid approach to movement development in the Swiss watch industry in the recent times. Instead of relying on off-the-shelf Ebosch as ETA, etc., Breitling designs its own specification architecture and performance requirements, then leverages AMT's industrial capability to manufacture and partially assemble the movements at scale. The result is the new caliber 31. You see it here on your screen. It is a freehand automatic movement. This is exactly what Breitling needed. Thinner, more reliable. So it is not the generic Sellita base, but also not the fully vertically integrated in-house caliber in the traditional sense. Breitling retains design controls, quality criteria, and finer regulation, while AMT provides advanced component production and dedicated assembly lines. And you know that Sellita is specialized in mass manufacturing calibers, and Breitling does not have these possibilities to do that. From a technical standpoint, the P31 is engineered as a modern workhorse, if you want to call it like this, with premium features, operates at 28,800 semi-oscillations per hour, so it's a 4 Hz movement. It delivers 78 hours of power reserve. It uses a free-sprung balance, a construction typically normally found in higher end movements for improved long-term stability. You know that the movement is, as all movements used by Breitling, cost certified -4 + 6 seconds. Breitling lets COSC test each of its movements. Yes, a skeletonized rotor, refined finishing, Geneva stripes, perlage, nicely decorated, I have to say, looks good. So if you use Sellita and if you cooperate with them, they will help you to do what you otherwise would have needed to establish in your own manufacturing site. So Breitling, for Sellita, AMT demonstrates their evolution from a volume movement supplier to a more high-grade manufacturing partner and trusted by major brands. In short, the B31 isn't just a new caliber, it's a case study in how modern Swiss watch manufacturers blend design, autonomy, industrial cooperation, and premium performance to remain competitive in a post-ETA, post-monopoly landscape as we all know it. So it's a really, really modern and very reliable caliber. End of the day, Breitling can source movements calibers either from its own production or rely on Kenissi Movements. Who is Kenissi? Kenissi is a joint venture that was established in 2016. 50% belongs to Tudor. Tudor is part of the Rolex Group. You all know that. 20% belongs to Breitling. 20% belongs to Chanel. And 10% are private investors in Kenissi. Kenissi is located in Saint-Imier, and all the Tudor movements are manufactured there. Now, why can Breitling use a Kenissi movement? That's pretty easy to explain as well. The deal is that Breitling is delivering the in-house B01, the one I just showed you before, that powers the Top Time chronograph, is delivered by Breitling to Tudor. Tudor uses this chronograph movement in its chronographs. Yes, a Tudor chronograph features a Breitling B01 movement as the base, and end of the day, as I just described here in the video, Breitling relies on movements that are produced together with Sellita AMT. I decided to change the color of the dial from blue to green. So this is that nicely, beautifully looking dark green dial. It's exactly the same watch. All the technical data I've been giving you or mentioning before do apply here. It's 100% the same watch, just a different dial. And I have now forwarded the hands already to 9 o'clock in the evening. Now watch what happens. I can tell you it is an instantaneous day change. Will happen exactly at midnight, and there you go. You see, there's no starting at 22 or 11:30 already. Midnight, precise, it makes click. You have a haptic feedback that is, you feel it on your wrist when you wear the watch. There's haptic feedback coming, and then click, it is changing. So here is the green watch. You see here this beautiful green. Depending on the light that falls on it, it is a little bit of a lighter green or a darker green. We have the same, I didn't mention that before, so I can do it here with the green watch. The sapphire crystal has an anti-reflective treatment on both sides, so it's really clear proofed on both sides, and this gives you a very nice look on that beautifully executed dial as you see it. Of course, also here magnifying glass. I don't need to repeat that, but just to say it, it really helps The date looks bigger and the readability is much better. Yeah. And if I turn around here, you have the same movement coming from that cooperation, that joint venture in between the guys I have been mentioning before. Also here, clearly readable certifié chronometre. Certifié chronometre, that means that all Breitling watches are, of course, officially certified chronometers by COSC, and this means an accuracy of -4 + 6 seconds. There is no limitation mentioned on this case, so it is not a limited edition. Different to the chronograph, the tapering you see here 20 to 18. It is clearly marked, so there is no discussions. Is it really tapering from 20 or is it 9? No, it is 20 to 18. It is 20 to 18. Pin buckle as well here, nicely done. I like those simple things. You could discuss this for hours. Is a pin buckle better than a folding clasp? A folding clasp better than a pin buckle? Oh, I prefer these simple things, but okay, that's me. Here, I have to say, perfect match in between the green leather strap and the green dial. Nicely done. Typically yellow underneath on the inner side, that's Breitling. And yeah, it is, as it was mentioned also on the chronograph, cuir véritable. This means real leather. It's not an artificial material or plastic or whatsoever that has been treated in a way to look like leather. It is a leather strap. So now, here comes the version I also very much like. Hacking seconds. There we have them. Once you pull out the crown, the second hand stops. Same here, all technical data, all technical things I mentioned before do apply also here. The only difference is the way how the dial is executed. We do have a white dial and a light blue outer side of the dial. Readability here is excellent because the contrasting in between the bright white dial and the hands is good. So readability is excellent in this case. The date disc, I have to say this, it would have been cool to have color matching date discs on the blue and green version. Yeah, this of course costs some extra to do them. You can of course say, okay, readability is always the best one once you have a but in terms of design, a absolutely matching date disc would have been cool. Here it is, you see it, matching, white. We do also have a magnifying glass on it. Yes, I like it. Yeah, some of you will say they copy Rolex. Come on, guys. Yeah. It's useful. You can read the date. Very often with these little date apertures on the dial, it is pretty hard. And yeah, I'm sure majority of you is wearing glasses. Most of you would understand or will understand what I'm talking about. Of course, we do also have to talk about the beautifully executed stainless steel bracelet. You can wear all the freehand watches with that bracelet. It is really nicely executed, has been heavily protected with a protective surface. I've been taking it off completely. The inner side that is completely polished was completely protected. And I think there's a good reason to do that because I expect these beautifully polished parts that contrast so well to the matte brushed parts of the links of the bracelet to maybe scratch a little bit, especially here. This looks gorgeous, I have to say. Yeah, I have to admit, this is really gorgeous. You have a folding clasp, and on the polished part of the folding clasp, you have engraved Breitling. But yeah, when you wear it and when you then touch ground here, it's plastic. It won't hurt anything. It won't scratch. But if you are wearing the watch on your wrist and then once you start getting in contact with some rough surfaces, I expect this part of the folding clasp to scratch quite quickly. But this is how it is. It's patina. It is part of the watch, and we have to accept it. But besides of this, it is really nicely executed. And now comes a nice thing, especially considering the fact how much you have to pay and how much the watches in the end cost. This is nice. You see here, a micro length adjustment. You just press and push. You press and push. You see here, and now it's tight. And if you want to loosen it, you just press and you have quite something. Yeah, it's quite something you can use if you need to fine adjust during the day. When you wear it, you can adjust it easily. No need to take out any links. Of course you can. For the primary adjustments of the length, you can of course take out some of the links. Of course, that's how it is. But once you did it, you do that adjustment through the micro length adjustment push button you have integrated in the folding class. Nicely done, I have to say. Yeah, well done. This is really good. Two pushers do prevent it from opening up without you wanting it to open it. It's a good offer Breitling has here, and I have to say, I'm not very often convinced about bracelet, a stainless steel bracelet, gold bracelet, whatsoever, but in this case, I have to say, not bad at all. For the final lineup of all the watches you have seen in this video, I've been pulling out the crown of each of it to stop them, so they all now smile at you. Why do they smile at you? Because I want to recommend them to you. I'm really very impressed about the quality of the watches, the design of the watches, the way how they are done, and quality-wise, I have to say that's really, really, really top-notch. There's no flaw. Whatever I've been looking for, I didn't find. And I'm really critical. I touch all the surfaces. There are no sharp edges. Everything has been conceived and in the end manufactured in a beautiful way. So the prices I'm going to name you now, in my personal opinion, are absolutely correct. Of course, we can disagree on that, but in my humble opinion, they are correct. If you're interested in buying the Top Time 31 with the leather strap and the pin buckle as it is shown in our video in Austria, including 20% VAT, it is 5,500 euros. So if you want to get a net price, please deduct 16.666% and you will have a net price. This is Austrian VAT's 20%, 5,500. Same, of course, applies to the green version. Same, of course, applies also to the version with that beautiful white and light blue dial. And if you like the bracelet, as I have been showing it to you, you have to add 300 euros more. It is 5,800. And you really get a very, very well manufactured metal bracelet, including a micro length adjustment. It has nothing cheap on it, absolutely nothing cheap. It is really nicely done. I have to say, absolutely, absolutely well done. And yeah, last but not least, the chronograph shown in the center, powered by the in-house Caliber B01 of Breitling, is sold for 7,250 euro here in Austria, including 20% VAT. So these are the prices, the actual prices in euros end of October 2025. If you're watching the video years later or in a couple of months, the prices might have changed. End of October 2025, these were the prices I have just mentioned. Thanks for watching another video on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. I hope you liked it. Please use the comment section to share lots of thoughts with me. If you have a top time yourself, please share some extra thoughts with us so all the community can take advantage of the experiences you personally have with that watch. Okay, thanks and goodbye. See you soon back here on our channel. Bye bye, guys.
Thanks a lot for watching the video on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. And if you think that this is your channel, please check out our website, watchadvisor.com, and especially our community section on our website to really get in touch with us, to share lots of things. You will get more detailed information about the watch industry, in-depth videos, more fun will happen there. So if you're interested, have a look at watchadvisor.com.